Before the Super Bowl and billion-dollar stadiums, there was a machine. A dynasty so dominant it won nearly everything in its path. This empire wasn't built on flash, it was forged in the mud and the cold by men of iron. At the heart of this championship machine was a man whose name is now in Canton, but whose story often gets lost in the shadow of the legends he protected. He was the bedrock, the anchor, the undeniable force that allowed a dynasty to rise. How did one offensive tackle become the cornerstone of a football empire, the silent guardian behind two of the game's most iconic players, and punch his own ticket to the Hall of Fame? This is the story of Mike McCormack, the legend who forged the 1950s Cleveland Browns. To understand Mike McCormack's impact, you have to understand the era he played in. This wasn't the modern NFL, it was a brutal, grinding version of the sport where only the strongest survived. McCormack, a Chicago native, was built for this world. In 1951, he kicked off his professional career with the New York Yanks, and from the moment he stepped on the field, it was clear he was different. As a rookie, McCormack was a dominant force at right tackle, earning a trip to the Pro Bowl in his very first season, an incredible feat for a lineman. But just as his career was taking off, it came to a sudden halt. After that stellar rookie season, McCormack was drafted into military service, serving 2 years in the U.S. Army. In the fast-moving world of professional sports, a 2-year absence is often a career death sentence. When McCormack was ready to return, the team he had played for, the New York Yanks, no longer existed. He was a man without a team, his future in football completely uncertain. This is where one of the greatest coaching minds in football history, Paul Brown of the Cleveland Browns, made a move that would alter the course of the decade. Brown had not forgotten the dominant rookie he saw in 1951. While McCormack was still in the service, the Baltimore Colts acquired his player rights. In a stroke of genius, Paul Brown orchestrated a massive 15-player trade to bring McCormack to Cleveland. Brown traded for a player who hadn't strapped on a helmet for 2 years, seeing him as the key piece of a championship puzzle. When McCormack arrived in Cleveland in 1954, the Browns' legendary middle guard, Bill Willis, had just retired, leaving a gaping hole in the defense. Brown asked McCormack, the Pro Bowl offensive tackle, to switch to the other side of the ball. Without hesitation, McCormack agreed. He didn't just fill the role, he excelled, demonstrating a team-first attitude and a versatility that was almost unheard of. He proved he was a great football player, period. The 1954 season ended with the Browns facing the Detroit Lions in the NFL championship game. In this high-stakes game, McCormack, the temporary defensive lineman, made a play that would define the contest. He ripped the ball right out of the hands of Lions Hall of Fame quarterback Bobby Lane, a turnover that set up a crucial early touchdown. Cleveland went on to rout the Lions 56-10, and Mike McCormack was an NFL champion. That was his last great act on defense. For the 1955 season, Paul Brown moved McCormack back to his natural position, offensive tackle. This move would solidify the greatest dynasty of the era. The Browns' offense was led by iconic quarterback Otto Graham, and with McCormack installed at right tackle, the offensive line became an impenetrable fortress. His job was to protect Graham and give one of the greatest passers in history the time he needed. He did it with a quiet dominance that became his trademark. In 1955, the Browns won another NFL championship, their second in a row. In just 2 seasons in Cleveland, McCormack had played 2 different positions and won 2 titles. Otto Graham retired after the 1955 season, but in 1957, a new era began with the arrival of a rookie running back from Syracuse, Jim Brown. What happened next is history. Jim Brown became arguably the most dominant running back the game has ever seen. And who was the man clearing the path for this human wrecking ball? Mike McCormack. As the team's right tackle, McCormack's role was pivotal. The Browns' offense ran through Jim Brown, and that meant running behind McCormack. His job was to create holes where none existed and move massive defensive linemen against their will. He was the lead blocker, the tip of the spear. It's no coincidence that during McCormack's time at tackle, Jim Brown set an NFL record by rushing for 237 yards in a single game, a feat he accomplished twice. For 9 seasons with the Browns, McCormack was an immovable object, collecting 6 career Pro Bowl selections, protecting 1 Hall of Fame quarterback to a championship, and paving the way for a Hall of Fame running back to break records. When you build a dynasty, headlines go to the quarterback or the running back. But the coaches and players who lived in the trenches knew the truth: none of it was possible without the men on the offensive line. His own coach, the legendary Paul Brown, called him the finest offensive tackle who ever played pro football. This wasn't just praise, it was a definitive statement from a man who had seen it all. After his playing career, McCormack went on to a long and successful career as a head coach and front office executive. But his plaque in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where he was inducted in 1984, honors him for one thing: being one of the greatest players the game has ever seen. His induction was the ultimate recognition for a career built on selfless dominance, the anchor of a dynasty who made greatness possible for others. The story of the 1950s Cleveland Browns is a towering chapter in football history, full of legendary figures like Otto Graham and Jim Brown. But holding that story up, providing the foundation for the entire structure, is Mike McCormack. He was the constant, the bedrock, the quiet force in the trenches who forged a path for others to run to glory. His legacy isn't just in the Hall of Fame, it's in every record Jim Brown broke and every championship banner the Browns raised during their golden age. He is the undeniable and unforgettable legend who forged a football dynasty. So what are your thoughts about Mike McCormack? Write in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video, and click on the notification bell. And don't forget to click on the playlist above to watch more NFL Hall of Famers of his era. Thanks for watching.